Yes, yes, people, we are back live. We are back live on the Sarcasm City TV YouTube for another edition of the Sarcasm City Sports Q&A, where we answer sporting questions from the chat. We now know two of our semi-finalists in the Champions League, with PSG getting past Aston Villa and Barcelona getting past Borussia Dortmund. Aston Villa with a valiant, very, very valiant, brave effort versus PSG, but the mountain was just too big to overcome. Aston Villa going 2-0 down to PSG, 5-1 on aggregate, but 3 goals, and deserved 3 goals as well, and 3 very good goals, but they just couldn't get that equalizing goal to take the tie into extra time as well. In regards to the Barcelona Borussia Dortmund game as well, a little bit more comfortable for Barcelona, but they were 2-0 down, ended up losing the tie 3-1. So PSG will face the winner of the Arsenal-Real Madrid tie. And of course, Barcelona will face the winner of the Bayern Munich-Inter Milan tie. So this time tomorrow, we'll know our full semi-finalists in the Champions League. But as always, big up to everyone supporting Sarcasm City TV. Run up the likes, people. Hit the like button on the video. Make sure you do so. Share across all the socials as well. Make sure you share this out across all the socials. That's me, Flawless, at Sarcasm City TV. And on top of those two things, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell as well. It's so important you do that. Road to 15,000 subscribers, people. And how the Q&As work, it's where the lovely citizens in the city of Sarcasm, the lovely audience, you lot get to ask us any questions, people. NBA play-in start tonight. The playoffs start later this week. So maybe you got questions in regards to NBA. Maybe it is one of the Champions League ties tonight. Maybe it's one of the Champions League ties tomorrow. Maybe it's the Europa League. Maybe it's a Premier League question. So if you're a member of the channel, your question takes priority, like a super chat as well. And of course, if you're kind enough to super chat, we'll get to it too. Big up Fats in the cut as well. Well, Fats just disappeared. There we go. He's back. What are you saying, Fats? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I just want to say, since the play start, I'm going to start this. Lakers in 5.
What's this? What are you starting? Lakers in 5, yeah? Okay, Lakers in 5. Did you have the Lakers in 5 versus the T-Wolves, or did you have a
Yes, I did.
Remember?
Yes, I did, yeah.
Okay, Lakers in 5. All right, cool. Let's get to it. Big up to Ak in the cut as well. Big up Warrior J. Big up H as well in the building. What's he saying here? Who's this? That game just shows me PSG's weaknesses there. Great effort from Villa today, but the subs killed it. What a game. I do believe that as well. Unai Emery taking off McGinn and Rashford. Rashford obviously played his part in the third goal. McGinn scored a very, very good goal for the second, and you take them both off. It's like, no, you leave them on. The momentum was with you, and maybe they equalized. Unai Emery on signing Marcus Rashford. It's difficult to plan it. It's difficult to plan now. He's feeling better, and he played a fantastic match. We are very happy. If he is happy, we are happy, and it depends on circumstances for now and the next weeks. Unai Emery is now the most important to get Europe again. The most important competition is the Champions League. The challenge we have for the last 6 matches to try and get Europe and the Champions League. He goes on to say, I'm very proud of everything. Getting to this level is the next step forward. I want to try to win with Aston Villa. Today we competed better and we were close to the result. I want to try and work on my next process at Aston Villa. McGinn says, Emery at halftime said, I'm proud of the performance. Keep going. You just never know. We never gave up. It was chaos, but we gave absolutely everything. And I think Aston Villa supporter will leave with a huge sense of pride. We want more. McGinn goes on to say, we want to be back here next season and we will try our best to do that. We had chances to take the game to extra time, but we've got to be proud about the way we came back against one of the best teams in the world to fight to the end. We showed tonight we can compete at the highest level and we want to do it again next season. And yeah, in regards to the game and the comments from Emery and McGinn, they should be proud because at 5-1 down, it was looking peak. At 5-1 down, it's like, okay, this could be really embarrassing and Villa Park starts empty and it could be 6-1, 7-1, 8-1, and PSG really could run riot and it could really make Aston Villa's good season take a massive hit. But you have to give massive props to Aston Villa players, have to give massive props to the manager. They stood up and were counted, and they fought, and they were deserving of the lead. Like they did, even before PSG caught them out a couple times on the break for the 2 goals, but even before that, they were the better side. They was the better side. So you have to give Villa, like I said, massive credit. And I think if he doesn't make the changes, Villa actually equalize, whether they go through or not in extra time, or if it goes to penalties, is a whole different conversation. Big up to Jez in the cut as well. But yeah, you have to give Villa credit and come to saying, yeah, we showed tonight we can compete at the highest level and we want to do it again. And I think tonight's shown where Villa are aiming to go. I think they're just one short of that. Where PSG are, I think PSG are just a level above Villa, but not massively. It's not huge. It's not like a ridiculous gap. Villa just have to move and correcting their recruitment. And you know what? To their credit, they've done that very, very well so far. They've done that very well. But now they need to go again and go and get better players than the players they have. Where they need to improve on, that's a whole different conversation, and more conversation for actual Villa fans. But you look maybe at centre-back, maybe a central midfielder, maybe in one of the forward areas, the spine of the team, where you go and get some, not that they don't have quality, but you go and get some general real quality. What are you saying, Jess? Thoughts?
No, what we saying, man? I'm good. Pick up the chat as well. Remember when I said going on to this tie that a lot of these Villa players that you see there, they've never been onto the stage.
Yes,
this is something, and obviously football ability is obviously everything is important, but also the mental state, having the necessary experience to be in certain places. And I feel like, yeah, obviously in this home tie, they obviously pushed. Like, I feel like what it was with the second tie wasn't necessarily that. I think it's just the thing of like, you just putting everything into it, what you can do to make sure you make a comeback, because you were pretty much 3-1 down. PSG scored early in the game as well, and you're just putting it out there. I don't even think the occasion was an issue at this point anymore, because you know you're already losing. So it's all about just, let's make everything sure to make a comeback. But in the first leg, this is where they let themselves down. Is that they scored the goal, everything was fine, and then PSG responded, and they didn't know how to react. And I feel like experiences like this, being able to coach in these two-legged ties, I think it will help them. I think it will help them, honestly. Getting that feeling of like, okay, what it's like to be in a quarterfinal against a top team. Even if we don't rate certain players in the PSG team, they're still a top team. They're always consistently in these areas of the competition, so they know what it is like. I like Willow, and again, small margins is another thing that I always talk about when it comes to these games. If it wasn't for Pacho making the block or Donnarumma making that amazing save when it would have been equalizer, which would have maybe talked about a different result today, but it didn't happen. And now, like, I agree with you in terms of like, this is where we will see where Villa is trying to go into. Obviously, they still have to qualify for Champions League first and foremost. Like this, it's not it's obviously it's not concluded, but it's not a conclusion yet. But
it's not clear cut, right?
But it's at least encouraging. It's encouraging. There's good players there. They're probably gonna go and try to get Rashford. They're probably gonna try and get Asensio, but what's done afterwards? Because I do think you can definitely improve in the fullback position. You can improve in the depth. You can improve in the mid. Not that they don't have bad midfielders, but I feel like if you get a next level Epsilon, how do you say it again?
Echelon. Yeah.
Echelon.
We don't
Echelon of
Yo, Fats, I beg you send that in the link, please.
Do I have him on Twitter though?
Check it out.
Have you already blocked it to him? If you don't, I'll send it to him.
No, because I'm suspended, remember?
Hey Ryan, follow Fats.
Yeah.
Should be following him anyway. Yeah, go on, carry on.
Yeah, and I feel like
stuff.
Yeah, no. But if you get that next level of echelon of midfielders into the team, I think this is where I think Villa can maybe make the improvements. But again, it all comes down to what to do in the summer and where to finish in the Premier League.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair, and I think that's valid, and that was my thought process on it, because they're not a million miles away. You mentioned there the fullback areas, they're probably key. Maybe a centre back, maybe a central midfielder, and maybe a forward player, like a player from the right, for example, or even a player from the left. It depends on what if they do go get Rashford Asensio. It's all right. Where do you fit those twos in? And it sounds like a lot, but yeah, it depends.
But that's what you need, because at the end of the day, it's about what can you do to, because for me, the way I look at all this, in order for a team to progression for me is like, what do you improve on what you did in the previous season? I think they have good players there, but it's just gonna be is this group of player where you believe only a minimal improvement will be enough, or do you think there needs to be a massive improvement in terms of like numbers, quality of player? And I think this might be both for me personally. Like, no disrespect to like some of the players. Like, I think John McGuinness is a good player. I think Kamara's a good player. I think Onana, like these are good players. Like if they were in the Europa League, they win the Europa League. If they're in the Conference League, they're definitely getting to the far in the Conference League, even if they were unlucky last season. But the point is that when you want to go and win the major honors, you're starting to realize certain players may just not cut it out, even if you think they're good players. Like that's what happened with Tottenham under Poch, where reality is not only was the manager not good enough, but you can also look at some of the players who were holding the team down. And you don't want to be in a situation where you try to be too attached to the team because you like the players, but in reality, these players were able to get you over the line.
Nah, you right. And yes, because Teju says, like Jess said, these are good players. I rate all of these players. Not so much Barkley, but Kamara, big fan of. Onana, I liked him when he was at Everton. Tielemans, liked him when he was at Leicester. Barkley's the only one, and McGinn as well. But you need imagine you add, and it shouldn't be the first place you strengthen because it's very strong. But to me, Villa, if they want to go and get to that next level, imagine you add Pedri into that midfield. Just use him as an example. I know Pedri's not a realistic signing for them, and he's one of the best in Europe in that role. But imagine you add him, or you add a Vitina to that, or you add a De Jong to that. I'm just throwing out names, not necessarily those players. I'm not saying Villa should go get those players. I'm talking quality. Even if you go get a player that reaches around their realms at those levels. And this is where you start, Jez mentioned it, fine margins, and it sounds like we're being critical when we're not, because there's not many midfielders around a Vitina, around a Pedri, around a De Jong, etc., etc. But that's where you have to go. Of course, there's other areas they need to improve on as well. We mentioned it. Like fullbacks, without doubt, yes. You need to go and get two fullbacks who are better than Cash and Digne. And who do you go and get? Do you go and try and get, for example, a Kirkes and hope he kicks on and becomes what people believe he will be? Right backs are kind of really. Do you go sign an Ola Aina on a free, or do you go for another right back? Go on, what are you gonna say?
But that's the thing. They're scouts, they're people, the director of football is getting top dollars, like you said, for United to do the job, because Vitinha wasn't Vitinha until probably midway through last season. PSG, like people forget, Vitinha was a Wolves reject. He got here. Obviously, Joe Neves made his name at Benfica, but you always get a lot of hype. Nuno Mensch was at Sporting Lisbon years ago. Before that, you saw him, and he's a quality left back if he's healthy. Like a lot of these guys, like even ironically, Pedri, he didn't came from the Barcelona academy. They bought him from Las Palmas. So you can't find these players, in my opinion. And you make, and it's like where you just said, Kirkes as an example. His name is out there. Let's say they can go get Kirkes and see if he can elevate his game to where consider like the guys like the Nuno Mensch and the Davies and all that. Because again, Alphonso Davies wasn't Alphonso Davies until he got to Bayern and improved his game. Alphonso Davies, they bought him as a youngster. People forget that he came in as like 19 years old from Canada.
He was mad young when he went there.
And he improved his game. First season, he came midway through the season, got integrated, and then the first season when he then really get his first start is when they made the Champions League run, and he chilled out there. So I feel like Villa's in the situation where I believe you can't necessarily not get the established guys, like you said, the Pedris, the De Jongs, and all that, but find the guys who can be considered the next established guys up, who can be up there. And this is how you build team if you cannot afford to get these high-profile players.
I just think that Villa team, like, it's an if buts and maybe is that. I think the first leg, that is where I feel the damage has been done there. But
yes,
you have to give credit to them that put a stern comeback, even though they went 2-0 down. Then I thought to myself at that point, like when they went 2-0 down, like, I thought I was done. But you have to give credit for them. Like they did really try.
That's the thing, though.
PSG.
But that's the thing, though, Fato. Nobody, at the end of the day, nobody's gonna care by the end of this Champions League campaign that they nearly made a comeback or they made a comeback. Well, in this game, nobody is gonna care, and that's the reality of the sport. Like
That is the reality of the sport.
Dortmund put in a greater performance, but nobody's talking about because they went out.
Yeah, it's about going through. That's the be all and end all.
That's the reality. So it's like
That's
the
the
game.
be all and end all.
Football is unforgiving when you don't fix.
Yes.
And again, it sounds harsh. It sounds harsh. Like I'm not here.
Super harsh.
I'm not dissing Villa or anything, but this is the reality. When you want your team to really want to be competing at a certain level, you have to be sometimes that harsh and realize, yo, we need this next level up. So yeah, man.
It sounds crazy that players can be good and have done a good job for you and have elevated you and took you to this, but you might have to get rid of someone to get to the next level because you need some form of special talent. Because I say this all the time. I like Villa's team. I go out my way to watch Villa. Like Villa Newcastle, I'm genuinely looking forward to. I think Henry's a very, very good manager, but like Jez mentioned, you have to look at areas where do you try and improve and who do you move on? Because even if you're saying it here, I'm not gonna lie, man, them cashing on Watkins, go get the next striker. Now that would be unpopular, but that might be the move. If let's say you sell Watkins, let's say it's 70 M's, and then you go get the next striker for 50 M's, and then that 20 million goes to a right winger, for example. Maybe you improve. Like that. That's where it stems with them. Like, what do they do? Like, Jez mentioned it because I mention it all the time. This is where your recruitment comes in. But do they go and get, like I said, a Kirkens or a Aina, just throwing them out? Or do they look for a different left back and right back who are not Premier League proven, but are going to be the next fullback? So, like, where we go, okay, yeah. He's one of the best fullbacks. Jez mentioned it. Vitina wasn't looked at the way he was now. Pedri was where? Las Palmas, did you say?
Las Palmas Academy.
Yeah, when he was at Las Palmas Academy. So there's players out there. Those so not everyone. Obviously, there's a few players who are well-known gems from you. Like, oh, he's gonna be one of them ones, but most of them not. So maybe they do something like this. Maybe you cash in on a Watkins and one of your midfielders and go, all right, cool, we gonna go again. We gonna get 150 combined for two of our better players, and then spread that over 4 or 5 players in regards to signings and run it like that. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's that. Hey, I'm big up to TJ as well, says large with the panel, except for that fraud. Ryan. Speaking of Ryan, what are you saying, man?
Yeah,
floor's yours. What do you want to talk about?
I enjoyed that game tonight, man. I actually enjoyed it. Like, I wanted PSG to go through in it because, like, to be fair, I had a bit of a conundrum because I'm just thinking Arsenal, for me, like, I think they'll go through tomorrow, innit? So I'm thinking who's got the better chance of beating them? And I thought PSG a better team than Villa, but then I just feel stylistically wise, Villa against Arsenal is everything Arsenal don't really want from stylistically point of view. Is Aston Villa really? But I just really enjoyed the game, to be honest. Like the first half, obviously they go 2-0 up. I think it's done. You know, even when Villa got their first goal back, I thought it's just a consolation goal. This, you know what I mean? Just nice little moment for them. But then, you know what? I was about to put the Dortmund game on, and then I saw McGinn score, and I was like, I need to keep this on for a bit. And then, honestly, when I think it was Konsa, wasn't it? Was it Konsa who scored the third Villa goal? I think it was.
Yeah, Konsa scored. Konsa scored.
Yeah, then I thought they were going to do it, and they should have done it, to be honest. They had their chances. Donnarumma, fair play to him. I'm not really a fan of Donnarumma like that. I don't really rate him that highly, but he definitely came up clutch for them towards the end of the game. To be honest, with PSG, I thought PSG actually, after they conceded the third goal, and they had to get through that about 20 minute spell of pressure from Villa. I thought they actually saw out the game pretty well in like the last 10, 15 minutes, PSG, actually. They kind of calmed it down. They didn't really concede any chances. They were a threat on the counter-attack as well. Doué had that one-on-one. Like, I actually thought PSG kind of saw it out pretty well. But to be honest, I think it's quite good for PSG, to be honest, that they had something like this because, like, just to get through the a bit of adversity, I thought, like... It was just going all so easy for them in this tie that I just thought, this is quite good for them. And the fact is, they got through it. Yeah, they struggled, and people saying, oh, they can be got out defensively, they're fragile. But they got through it, no matter what. they actually got through it in the end, and they got through. So fair play to PSG. I still think over the two legs they deserved it. Over the two legs, the way they played, I thought PSG deserved it, to be honest. But now fair play to Villa. They like there's a way to lose football matches, and Villa lost it in the way that if you had to pick a way to lose, they lost it the way you'd want to. They went out fighting, and they really gave PSG. They had them rattled. So now, fair play to both teams. To be honest, I hope PSG win it, man. I really do want them to win it. To be honest, so yeah.
As long as it's not Arsenal, I'm all good. Okay, who wins it? As long as it's not Arsenal.
I can't lie. This because I watched the PSG Arsenal game when it was at the Emirates in the table, innit? They are way worse now. No, I mean, PSG then was way worse than they are now. But I think a situation where if people want Arsenal to be stopped out, unless it's Madrid and comeback, it must be like an Inter or Barcelona, to be honest, because I just don't see. I just can't see a PSG win. Even if Villa will have gone through today, I still see Arsenal somehow go through, to be honest. But I think it's in the final where if it's like an Inter, because I watched Inter Arsenal in the groups in the table state, and both teams, to be honest, struggle going forward. But it was like a defensive game, so it's like it would be one of those games. It's like whoever can be more clinical with the few opportunities coming. Barcelona, obviously, they love to attack and pressure you so much. So I don't know. Like I said, at the moment time on the left hand side, like I hate to say that, but I think from a perspective of how I'm seeing it, unless Madrid make a comeback tomorrow, I think Arsenal have the best chances going to the final, to be honest. And if Enrique and PSG can shock people in the semi-final, that puts a whole different narrative for them, just in general, not just even getting to the final. But I don't know. That's just me though.
I think one thing that helps PSG is they'll have the second leg in Paris. I think that's one thing that will help them. If they go to the Emirates, then to be honest, even if they went to the Emirates and maybe lost by a goal, and maybe went back to Paris with a goal deficit, I still think they'll feel quite confident in their home patch getting through. Because if you look at it, the two knockouts they've had this season have both been away from home second leg, obviously at Anfield and then Villa Park. So I think that will help them second leg in Paris potentially. But yeah, like you said, I think Arsenal are definitely fully capable of stopping PSG, to be honest. And are probably the team, in my opinion, best equipped to do it, actually, to be honest. I actually think PSG would beat Barcelona, in my opinion. People might disagree, but I think PSG would beat Barcelona. But I think Inter Milan or Arsenal probably stand the best chance of stopping PSG. But to be honest, I think today with PSG as well, you have to remember that going away in Europe as well to Villa Park, where it's so hostile, you see how much they want it, the atmosphere is bouncing. All it takes is like one moment in a game, and all of a sudden, it can happen to a lot of teams where they can struggle, and the crowd gets up, and Villa have all the momentum, and the fans are pushing them on. So, we've seen that with teams over the years, and so to be honest with you, that's why I have a bit of sympathy for PSG today. Like it is kind of hard to handle at times. They should have done better, 100%, and they shouldn't have allowed it to get that close in the end of the tie. But, we've seen this sort of thing happen before, to be honest. Villa Park, it was always going to be difficult for them today, especially when they got two quick fire goals out, in the second half. So, to be honest with you, I think, it doesn't really, I don't really look at PSG and say, today after today's game that you have less chance of winning the Champions League than what I thought you did pre-game. Do you know what I mean?
No,
I still think
it would have been the same anyway for me if they play Arsenal. To be honest,
no, that's fair. That's fair. I think
the
PSG Arsenal is a 50-50. I think for me that is a 50-50. I think partly because the second leg's in Paris, like I said.
Okay, because I do think the second leg being in Paris makes a difference, but because one thing because I talk about all the time small margins.
Yeah.
And one thing that has proven so far, both legs, is that Bacola and Dembele have not stepped up in terms of needing to when it's come to step up. Kvaratskhelia had his games, but like Kvaratskhelia had his moments where he's been quiet, but at least he stepped up in the first leg. So you can
I
say
thought he
something.
was
You know what?
poor today, but yeah, first leg
Yeah.
he was excellent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like I can allow Kvaratskhelia to a certain degree, even though yes, it would be helpful if you do it in two legs. But if you do it in one leg, if you like sometimes the only attacker on the pitch, then I can at least sit here and say, you know what, I can appreciate you actually stepping up for one game. Dua stepped up for the first leg too. Second leg he came off the bench but didn't really do anything when he came on. So it's like
Yeah, no, I hear
really,
you. Yeah.
really and truly for me to believe that they can beat Arsenal, which they can, is on those two on the wing having to do the job.
No,
But the
I do
reality
hear
is,
you. Yeah.
they haven't done it in the knockout stages. They have done it in the group stages, but not in the table stage, but not in the knockout stage, which is the biggest problem.
I
hear you.
genuinely believe that the two legs will factor in for PSG. I think it's if it's a one-off game, like, I can understand why people want to put Arsenal on it. But
I think Arsenal would win a one-off game, to be honest.
Me too.
PSG.
Yeah.
Me too. I think the fact that the fact that PSG has two games, and the fact that it goes back, that benefits them more than just only having one game personally.
Yeah, I agree.
But like I said, man, it's those two on the wing, man. Like I said, if there's a one game, wait, this is the funny part. It will be the game. This will be ironically PSG Arsenal would be the tie where they would show up, both of them, and then don't do it in the final, which is the ironic part. But again, I know obviously
you can't. Yeah, that's why I don't. That's why I don't think they'll. That's why I don't think they'll win it, because I don't think you can rely on those two. And you got two players.
Yeah, you've never been a fan of those two, haven't you?
No, Dembele proves it time and time again. Every time I watch him, I'm just like.
By the way, does anyone actually give Madrid? Sorry, Jez, go on.
No, go ahead. No, good. No, because now you go on.
Does anyone actually give Madrid any chance of going through tomorrow?
Yeah,
I give them always a chance, but it's super
early
small.
goal. Yes.
Yeah, I think if they get an early goal, then they've got a chance, because obviously the Bernabeu will get. The thing is, if Madrid get an early goal, the Bernabeu will get loud, and the thing is, I feel the Real Madrid players will feel that they'll believe that they can do it if they get an early goal. And I think, and then if they get another one, I said this to my dad the other day, if Real Madrid are winning the game 2-0 with about 25 minutes, half an hour to go, I think they'll do it then, to be honest with you.
Yep.
But,
I've said this, I go as far as to say if they score inside the first 15 minutes, I think they win the tie. I think I don't think it's a 90. I don't think it's a 90-minute game in regards to the result. I think it's first 15 minutes.
I get that. But they have to score early. The longer the game goes on without them scoring, it's just too hard.
Because if they score inside first 15, I expect them to score within the next half an hour. So basically before halftime. Yeah. And then at 2-0 at halftime, the game is well and truly alive. How did Arsenal do? What did they do? So it's going to be very, very interesting. Do I think it happens, though? No. Do I think Madrid gets some form of dodgy decision? Penalty, red card, VAR decision? Yes, I just don't think it will be enough. But yeah, go on, Jess. What are you going to say?
I agree and I heard and agree with that sport. And my big issue is most of the fact of, like, I know they have their media teams, and the media teams putting that really out there to tell them all these things in the butt. It just gives me less. It just for me gives less confidence that they're actually going to go and do it. Actually, like, I'm seeing apparently Vinny after today's game just tweeted
tomorrow 9 p.m. or something.
9 p.m. on some nonsense and that, and I'm like, yo, it's like, I get it. See, I get it. If this was CR, Bale, Benzema, Casemiro, Younger, Mudryk, Cruz, Marcelo. I get it if this is this team. Oh, this is one of the worst Madrid sides in terms of just like players who really deepen, and they're still very good.
But then what you could say, they have had some really like memorable Champions League nights over the last few years. Like they have won it a couple of times recently.
No, they did, but I haven't seen a team just this poor. Like they've been poor.
Oh no, I get you. I 100% agree.
But, and the fact that the players also, let's say it this way, they don't have, like, in the year where Benzema won it.
Yeah, Benzema smoked the entire time.
Benzema was legit. Like he was just like you can't even call that season world class. Like you need to use a different word beyond that, because he was
a
generally
crazy
season. That's what I'm saying. And even last season, like, no disrespect, like I support Dortmund, but they were always gonna win that final.
Yeah.
Like, and once even Bayern last season, the hardest game was Man City. My hardest game was Man City.
Yeah,
even Man City, they don't. Yeah, and then they dominated the City leg too, I think.
Yeah, they did. I think with the Bayern Munich second leg, I always remember Bayern Munich were 1-0 up. Bro, even like 88th minute, I was like, they're gonna come back. Like,
No, I'm saying like, it was ass. So it's like for me, it's like honestly, I'm not discrediting. I'm saying that all them years that they won the champs, Fugazi and that, but I'm saying this time around, when you actually have a real challenge upon you, and you haven't been convincing pretty much all season long. I don't know. Like for me, like I said, I just don't think they have it in them personally. But I never count out proven quantities, which they are. So
Nah, I hear you.
let's see, man. Let's see what they can do, man. But I don't know, man. Me, I just don't see it.
No, that's fair. I don't see it. I really don't see it either. That being said, I know you didn't watch, but we'll move to that. But actually, yeah, because we just spoke about the Real Madrid Arsenal game. Barcelona Dortmund, we'll go to that quickly before we go to their potential semi-finalist matchup. Thoughts, Jed? Surprise? I know you would have seen. You didn't see the full game, but you would have seen highlights.
I've seen highlights.
Yeah, you seen. I know you would have watched the highlights. So yeah, thoughts on the highlights of what you've seen. Obviously, it was an uphill battle. Being down 3-0. Was it 3-0 or 4-0? I keep forgetting.
4-0 down.
Yeah, being down 4-0 going back home. That's
and then ending in aggregate like 5-3. So yeah, no. To be honest, like one thing, like we talked, Ryan talked about the Villa Park atmosphere. That's Dortmund, and pretty much when you come in the Champions League, when teams don't want to come to the Signal Iduna Park most of the times. Obviously, do I think Barca partly was already like, we're already to the semis because they were 4-0 up. Yes, I do think that. But it's still about putting the performance in. And then Barca started having to put more effort into the game. And it still wasn't to me like, okay, Barca stepped up the game. No, they're going to dominate the game. No, it was still Dortmund. Like, Dortmund put in a really good performance in. Guirassy scored his hat-trick. And yeah, like obviously I didn't watch the game, so I can't go full in detail. But I can at least say this is where I was like sitting there yesterday and even today saying how I hate how only on social media there's certain narratives that people only speak about on social media. Because people act like Dortmund is like some bum club that nobody respects in terms of like Dortmund is a big club. People don't deep it. It's just that Bayern has dominated the Bundesliga for so long, and know that Dortmund can't necessarily take advantage of it because the team is in the disarray it is. People think Dortmund is a small club, and nobody respects Dortmund and anything like that. And when I saw like tweets like Dortmund should be getting treated like Tottenham, and I'm like, what are you talking about even? But now I'm just happy that they put. I'm just happy that they put in the performance because I feel like even last week I thought the performance was actually good. It's just that we couldn't score.
Yeah,
but
you did say this
week, and if we would at least scored 1-2 goals in the first leg, who knows? We would have been in the semis maybe again. But again, I can't be mad to be honest. I think we overachieved this season anyways. I think we did the job that was required to do. I think this was always going to be like a hard battle, and now it's like we have to see what we're going to do next season. And because obviously European football is still on, but it's not the craziest. It's just not the easiest season. Let's say it this way. But I want to shout out just Guirassy. I think he finished the Champions League campaign with 13 goals. So,
jeez, really?
Yeah, 13.
Yeah, 13 goals. Yeah.
And that's impressive. I remember because I see earlier tweet. It was like 2 years ago when he was still at Stuttgart, but nobody was really speaking about him. And there was like a Fulham fan in the quotes tweeting like a tweet saying that how Fulham is linked to Guirassy. And he was getting that fan was always getting pissed, and then as a reply, he replied back on Twitter saying, "I'm just Guirassy until proven otherwise. I can decide where I want to be." And then 2 years later, he's at Dortmund, scoring 13 goals in the Champions League campaign, and because he's a late bloomer in his career as well. And I always say that certain players shouldn't sometimes be just counted out just because they couldn't make it as a certain football club, and how. They can always still show something later down their career, and I think Grassi is just one of them players that I look and say you can take example from, even inspiration. To be honest, like if you're like I always like I've been trying to improve my footballing like understanding and trying to also see that side of football as well. And I think something's important to acknowledge people for their hard work, even if they're necessarily not doing it consistently on the highest level. Innit? So I just want to give him just a big praise. Innit?
No, first.
So, yeah,
No, fair enough.
but that's
No, I hear that. And speaking of that, obviously staying with Germany because it's actually it's going to be Inter Milan. Actually, who do you have? Is it more?
not Inter has gone through. Inter,
yeah. So it's going to be more likely Inter. So what would you say
Yeah.
about that Barcelona Inter Milan matchup? Go to you, Jets, first on that. Staying with you, should I say?
This is the styles of football is so you couldn't have fire versus water. For defensive football versus full attacking game pressing football.
It really is.
So it's fire versus water. But I believe Barcelona goes through because I believe in the fact that they have more quality on the pitch. Like Inter Milan, the quality that I super rate are obviously Barella and Bastoni. But I think when you go up against a Lewandowski, a Yamal, a Rafinha this season, a Pedri, Young, Balde, you got so many La Masia kids coming up. I think it's just too much quality that can help Barca carry themselves getting through in that tie and get them to the final. Because this is what my basis was on Bayern versus Inter. But then Bayern started getting all these injuries. And even when I watched the game, the first leg, Bayern versus Inter, if Bayern didn't have all these injuries, the tie would be a lot more interesting from a fans perspective. So I think Barcelona goes through in that tie, but it's going to be close. I do think that because it's not easy to break down Inter, really not.
Where's the second leg? Where would the second?
That's
leg
the question
be?
I was going to ask.
I think the second leg, it might be in Barca.
Italy. I think it would be in Italy.
I'm checking it literally right now. 1 sec.
Yeah, double check that. But Jez is spot on. Yeah, go on, facts.
Yeah, second leg is in Italy.
Yeah, Italy. I just checked it.
Okay, right.
Yeah, I think Jez is spot on with his assessment when he says this is definitely just attack, all out attack.
Oh yeah,
versus all out defense.
I'm
when
actually
I
really
say
looking
that, I mean
forward to watching that. Like,
talk
really
about it, Ryan. You go before you do. Actually, hey, shout out to my guy Sava every single time, man. Hope you're blessed. You lot, make sure you subscribe to Sava's channel, Football Heritage TV, and subscribe to his second channel as well. I was blessed enough to be on there a couple of weeks back, people. So make sure you subscribe to both of his channels. Hope you're blessed, Sava. Hope you're good. Go on, Ryan. Floor's yours, fam.
Thing is, I'm looking forward to Barcelona Inter and even the other semi-final, but we're just focusing on Barca Inter right now. Just because I can't, it's so close and it's so stylistically such an interesting tie that I can't pick a winner. Like, if you ask me who's going to win that tie now, I can't really separate them. It's like the fact that the second leg would be in Italy maybe sways me a little bit towards Inter Milan, but then when you got like Yamal on the pitch, it's just like they got that on individual quality and like. Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to that. Providing obviously Inter get through, which I think they will get through against Bayern, to be honest. With the lead at home, that I think they'll be fine in that. But I think that'd be a great time, man. Just like it's like just said, attack versus defense. Like Barca will just go for it. They'll leave a lot of space in behind. Inter. Inzaghi's such a good tactician. We've seen how well he set his team up in the Champions League of the last couple of years. Even the final against City, which, to be honest, they should have won. Even though they lost, I thought they should have won that game, actually. I thought they were a better team. So, yeah, I can't pick a winner. That's the thing. I think... And even PSG Arsenal, like I said, even that one I think is a 50-50 tie, to be honest, as well. I know you guys might think differently, but I do think that ties even as well. So yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to these semi-finals, man. Obviously, I hope PSG beat Arsenal because, man, I don't think anyone wants to see Arsenal win the Champions League, but like,
absolutely not.
It's like everyone's worst nightmare, to be honest. But yeah, man. To be honest, who out of Barcelona or Inter Milan do you think is more capable of beating Arsenal in the final? I'd probably say
I think
Inter.
I think the winner comes from that side regardless.
Oh, so you think
But when
Arsenal lose the final?
Yeah, I think Arsenal. I've said this. I think Arsenal lose the final. Obviously, I want to be wrong and hope they go out tomorrow. Or if they do
Well, you
get
think
past
it could be
Madrid,
06
that's PSG.
repeat?
Yeah, I
again?
think it's PSG.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I think it will be. I think Jez mentioned it. Barcelona. Why do you think they'll beat Inter Milan? Just quality on the pitch. Bayern
Nah, they
Munich.
have
I
more
mean, not Bayern
quality,
Munich.
but
Barcelona will give you a chance or give you chances. The way they play, the way they defend, you are going to get chances. And if you have any quality about you, you'll score goals. The problem is they got too much going forward. When you have Yamal and Lewandowski and Rafinha and Pedri and De Jong and Olmo and Gavi and Ferran Torres, and there's one I'm forgetting, even Lopez, Balde as well. Hear the names, whether you rate them or not. Somebody's gonna get you. At some point, somebody's gonna get you. That's like I use Monopoly for those that play it. It's kind of like, I don't know. You've like there's hotels on a row, like on everyone. Someone's got hotels, whether it's 2 players or 1 player, all on the same row. So the blue and which is it? Is it the blue and the orange? No, it's not the blue and the orange. I was literally just playing. I just did this to my little brother actually. Me and my pops fucked him up on social on Monopoly. I'm trying to remember, but you lot know what I'm talking about. Same way if you like. So you got Mayfair Park Lane, you got Bond Street, Regent Street, and the other green one. Imagine there's just hotels along there. You're probably gonna roll dice and land on one of them. I say all that to say this: somebody's gonna get you, man. You're like, that's what it is. One of them's gonna get you.
I think
not the
with
best
Arsenal,
analogy, but it worked. Go on.
I think with Arsenal, the fact is, Barcelona, if they were to play Barcelona, for example, and even PSG, they'll probably give you chances, but then do Arsenal have the quality to take those? I know they beat Real Madrid 3-0 and 100. Arsenal fully deserved that win, let's be honest. Yeah. And, they should have won by more, if we're being honest with you. They battered Madrid. But if you actually look at the goals scored in that game, 2 Declan Rice bangers, honestly, 2 of the best free kicks I've probably ever seen. The odds of him scoring 2 free kicks in a game again, you wouldn't put your money on it at the end of the day, would you, really? And then Marino scoring a brilliant goal like that as well, that's the thing. I still wouldn't trust Arsenal's attack, even though Saka's back, and Saka played really well against Madrid as well.
Okay.
I just still wouldn't trust their attack in those games, and especially I wouldn't trust it any more than the attacks that PSG and particularly Barcelona have. So that's the thing that might now Arsenal's still fully capable of winning those games, in my opinion, by the way. But I think that's one thing that that could let Arsenal down, to be honest. Personally, I think all 4 teams in the semi-final, Barca, Inter, PSG, Arsenal, providing those are the 4, I think that would be. I can't really pick a winner out of those 4, to be honest. I think they've all got as much chance of each other. If you ask me.
Like I said,
that would
I
be
think
one hell of a final.
Yeah, stop the spot on here. I hope it's a PSG Barca.
Yeah,
because we could get I don't know what the highest score in Champions League final is, but that could top it.
It'd be so
because
funny,
the same
final.
way that Jez mentioned about Barca versus Arsenal. I mean, Barca versus Bayern being like attack versus defense, like fire versus water. Like PSG, like just a worse
Real
version.
Madrid, it was way back in 1960.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, even in the Champions League, like in the modern day era, this could be this could be something like 6-4. This final.
Yeah,
maybe not like that. Maybe not that.
This is 2 teams that
go because even because
2 teams that go for it
in one game. I think I feel like finals.
No, because the thing is
to be like kind of cagey, low scoring.
These 2 teams
True, but then in the same time you would look at, but then you go through finals. Have you seen 2 teams that usually all season long play attacking football to the extent that both teams play each other in the final? Usually we'll have at least one team who's a lot more conservative than either of those teams. I spoke about it just earlier. This Dortmund tie realistically could have gone extra time if Guirassy would have scored his 2 chances. Like Barca gave us the chances.
What was that? 5-2, what was it? 5-2 on aggregate? 5-3?
5-3. And all the 3 goals came in the first. All the 3 goals that we scored came in the second leg. But we should have scored at least 2 in the first leg.
I'm telling you, if both attacks are on this final, it's the highest scoring final to me, since it's been the Champions League. If all of their attackers be on it, highly unlikely. But what I'm saying is, if same way Declan Rice bins 2 free kicks that he'll never bins again his entire career. if both of these attacks, these 6 attackers, whoever PSG decide to go with, and we know the Barca free, if they are on it, they are going to get chances. We just watched PSG almost throw away a 5-1 lead to Villa. And respectfully, if Villa don't have Barcelona's firepower, we've seen Barcelona. I've watched a lot of Barcelona. I've watched a lot of La Liga. They will give you chances. Do not get misunderstood. And one thing PSG do have with Kvaratskhelia and Desiree Doué, in particular with those two, is skill and quality in the final third. And then you add in them 2 technical midfields. You've got
those midfields are mental.
Yeah,
honestly.
you've got De Jong,
oh my God,
Gavi, Pedri on one side, and then on the other side you've got Ruiz, Vertina, and they all who's tackling. This is like an NBA game. Ain't no defense. No defense here. This is 100 points combined in the first half. If this is an NBA game, no one ain't playing defense. This might end in NBA terms. I don't know, 155 to 142. Who's tackling?
They're having an all-star game. Forget actual game.
Who's tackling in if those are the midfields? Who? Someone tell me. Who's the defensive stopper who's going to be tracking runners?
Kind of like both keepers are kind of a bit mid as well. So there's
you got I'm telling you, man.
That's what I'm trying to say is like I would get it more if at least one of the team tries to be conservative. Neither of them trying to be conservative.
I don't know what the word conservative means.
Oh, literally.
Vocab. I can't see Emery or Flick saying, right, it's the final. We're going to sit in a little bit. We're going to be a little bit defensive. Sorry, yeah, Enrique.
I don't see Enrique.
We're going to sit in and go in, hey, you know what? And Flick saying to Balde and Kunde, for example, right, we need you lot to sit. That man going to be high and wide. What are we talking about?
I just clocked it would be Enrique against Barcelona. He was the last manager to win the Champions League. Crazy.
Yeah, man. Chinlu says, man, teams try to outdo each other in a dunk contest. You know how many turns and spins we don't see in the midfield? I'm telling you. I hope it is the final. I really do hope it's the final. I really, really do. Hey, big up Pops as well, man. Shout out to Beijing Pops. Make sure you subscribe to Beijing Reds TV as well. But I really, really do hope so that we get Pierre. I just think that Arsenal, I think they're defensively too good. And I don't think PSG have enough. The second leg being in Paris, and I can't even say it helps because I think Arsenal can go there and get a result.
Yeah,
I think
they can, but I think semi-final in Paris, like I do think that
I don't rate this PSG team highly.
PSG. I rate them highly. That's the thing. I think they're brilliant.
I'm mixed on this team because part of this team that I rate, regardless of even before the season. But it's also part of the team where I just absolutely just look at it and it make me sick. And what the problem is, 2 of the guys that make me sick are in the attack, and 2 of the guys who make me sick are in the defense.
Wait, who are the 2 guys that make you sick in defense?
Marquinhos and Donnarumma. consistent criminals through the years in the Champions League. Go watch these exits when these 2 are part of the teams.
Yeah, that's true.
Every time. Remember the Barcelona game where Donnarumma, I don't know, just forget how to pass the ball and let Benzema get the ball.
You right. You know them might crumbled. Yeah, they did.
So after that, completely just faltered. Couldn't believe what I was watching. Marquinhos, don't let me speak on how many parts. Marquinhos was part of the team that Barcelona came with the 6-1 game.
Yeah,
he was part of the team.
He was.
This is what I'm trying to say. And then obviously the 2 up front is Marquinhos and not Marquinhos, Dembele and Barcola. So if you're like Hakimi, yes, he's something on and off. I don't particularly rate Hakimi highly, but I think he's a competent fullback. Nuno Mendes is amazing when he's healthy. Pacho, I watched him in the Bundesliga for Frankfurt. I think he's a solid defender. This is a defender and tells you, I'm not necessarily here about playing the ball. I'm here to just play football. I'm trying to defend. But then when you have
that's 2 teams trying to defend.
But then when you have Ruiz and Vitinha and Neves, you don't need Pacho to be a ball playing defender anyway. So the midfield I rate 2 defenders out of the 5 in the back, and I rate 1 attacker.
I rate 2 defenders out of 5.
Do you know how mad
I
it
hear
sounds?
you, yo. And the two defenders, I'm guessing, are both on the left-hand side of the defense.
Yes.
I'm guessing, yeah.
Yes, and
So that
Hakimi,
right-hand side is there, yo. Like,
yeah. So
You
this is
see,
what
the
I'm trying to
thing is
say. So for me, I don't care. Even when this team started to become good, it's still the same bullshit that you see from the other three in the defense, and it's the same bullshit that you see from Barcola and from
yes.
Dembele. So it's like even when they're good, it's the same guys that still piss you off from the right reason. Let's be honest. Was this PSG midfield great today? No. But nobody was having like an awful game. You didn't look at what are you doing?
Yes.
What are you doing? How many times did we see Barcola have the opportunity to run at the ball just to give it to his defender? How many times was Dembele offside? How many times when Dembele was offside? He didn't even know. I'm telling you, that guy didn't know that he was offside, and he's still missing his opportunities on goal. He couldn't even get it on target.
But the thing is, you know what it is with PSG for me, and this is why is that when they played us, that's probably the best I've seen a team play against us. Probably.
But right, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
So, yeah.
How out of 10? How do you rate Liverpool in 2025? Because I think Liverpool's been like a good 5 out of 10, in my opinion.
I thought up until the derby at Goodison Park, I thought we were doing well. Since then, we played like shit. I'll be honest. Apart from when we went to the Etihad, and we played well there and got the 2-0. Apart from that, we've been pretty mid. But I thought up until the derby was in February, I think, mid-February.
Yeah.
I think up until then we were doing fine, playing all right. But then since then, we haven't been playing well. I admit that.
So and what Rose can back me up as well. What did I say going into Liverpool PSG? I think PSG can beat Liverpool.
You did say this, yes.
So everything
it was
that I
just the
was
way
saying,
they played against us, bro. It was like
with the
1-0, even with the 1-0 loss, which was basically a robbery in the first leg, they came to Anfield, knocked us out, and I just thought that's the best I've seen a team play against us probably since one of the City teams that beat us to the title, either in the season we almost won the quadruple or the season that we got the 97 points in.
And here the thing is, I agree with you. I thought they were very, very good against you, and Dembele still did stupidness. But Cola would still have stupidness. Otherwise, that tie would have been over.
Oh yeah,
if they would have,
those two were on it. Yeah.
If PSG would have went out, I would have blamed them. Dembele scored the goal and are still on his case.
Nah, I hear you, but the way they dominate that midfield is scary, man.
And this is what
the midfield, the
midfield is scary, man.
I don't dispute that. I'm just talking in particular, like I said, about like the drop off when Jez says what he says about only trusting 2 in the back 5. I do like if it's Kvaratskhelia or Desiree Doué or one over, and then you have Barcelona. Like I said, we gonna see chances galore if that is indeed the final. Brian, we're just talking about like potential final matchups. So someone said in the chat PSG versus Barcelona is one for the ages.
This is what I was trying to say. But before you go, Prime, because obviously we're finishing the point, because I would say, and so right, Ryan, obviously you believe the one of the few games this year that you actually played well was City, and this was a City that everybody runs through bar Chelsea
in the last couple of months,
exactly. So this is what I'm trying to say. It's like I wasn't necessarily shocked when PSG beaten Liverpool because I had a feeling that PSG can do it when they're on it, and they took the opportunities when then the defender for their lives. But in a normality, in a normal scenario versus a team where I'm not saying that Arsenal necessarily in the best form, but I feel like I feel like stylistically, I think they would set up in a way where I feel like PSG just not gonna get it over the hurdle because of the specific players that I was talking about. Like, I get bad when I watch Dembele. Like, it's like when I watch Spurs attacker, bro. I get mad. Like, Barcola is Model Pepper, but just light skin. These guys are not good. I don't get the ratings. They're not good. I'm telling you, and this is the thing. And I think the only way they can beat Arsenal, if Arsenal goes through today, is if one of those two actually steps up. Like actually, not some fluky goal or some needy goal, and then for the rest of the game to stink up the place. No, you actually have to have a good game for 90 minutes. This is the way I look at it.
That's fair. Let's get to Prime before we do indeed close out. Prime, we'll go back to what we was talking about initially. The Aston Villa PSG game. Your thoughts on that? Before we get everyone, give us your thoughts on that, and then we're gonna get everyone's predictions before we close out. Because we will be heading over to the playback because NBA playing is starting people. So Hawks Magic game first and foremost, and then Warriors Grizzlies. That gonna be good. Floor's yours, Prime.
This game showed to me why I said that that the best bet of knocking out Arsenal in the semi-final was Villa, not PSG. PSG are not good, bro. Like going forward, fine. They've got Hakimi, Due, and Kvaratskhelia. And Kvaratskhelia tonight, I don't think was good either. Dembele had moments in this game, but again, not consistent. Barcola got hooked at halftime, and defensively they're poor. Like Donnarumma made 3 world-class saves in that second half, or else it could have got dark for PSG. They're not that good of a side, like in terms of like the individuals. Tactically and how they're set up is fine, but they're not. I don't think they're that good of a side. They create a lot of chances.
Bottle mentality in them a bit. That they've had.
No, I just think their experienced players don't turn up.
No, I see you in the NBA team.
The experienced players is
wait, Jess, before you he's gone. Never mind. Go on.
Their experienced players in Dembele is like he doesn't turn up consistently. Marquinhos is like I think a lot of injuries has made him decline. He's like an average defender now. I don't know, but he's like an average defender now. Donnarumma, I still like stand by. Not a lot of people might disagree. I still think he is a top goalkeeper. There were saves he was making tonight that, like, if not for him, like it would have been a lot dark for PSG. But as a whole, I just see Arsenal going through because PSG will waste a lot of chances.
Marquinhos is 30.
Okay. Oh, 30. Okay. Well, he plays
going up there. He's going up there. He's 31 in May.
Bro, he plays like he's Thiago Silva's age. Bro, he's done.
Yeah, I hear that.
But defensively, Arsenal playing on the counter against PSG, what a fully fit flying Saka, it's gonna get dark.
Do you think Arsenal are that great on the counter attack though?
They're good enough.
With Saka, yes. With Saka, yes. And defensively, Arsenal can't really be broken down like that. So
I
think Arsenal are in the final. I think Arsenal are in the final, and if Arsenal face Inter, then it's done. Inter will win. If Arsenal face Barca, that will be interesting because it'll be Barca's attack versus Arsenal's defense.
Oh, Prime. Yo, Jez, I just wanted to know your final and your winner. That's it.
My final is Arsenal, Barca, and I think Barca will win the final 2-1.
Okay. Cool. All right.
Yeah. That is literally all six. Repeat that.
Carry on. Go on, Prime. Carry on.
I think it'll be Arsenal's defense versus Barca's attack, and like. I don't know. I think that could be a bit of a toss-up on who wins. I'll be real.
Can I ask you something, Prime?
However, Arsenal, like Barca, have X factors like Yamal, Lewandowski's been there, done it before. Rafinha's on terrifying form, but I don't. In a final, in a one-off game where Arsenal, like something I've noticed about Arteta's Arsenal is when they're not expected to do something, they tend to like perform. When they won that FA Cup, they beat City when no one expected them to, and they beat Chelsea when no one expected them to. But when there's expectations on Arsenal, that season when they had top 4 in their hands and they bottled it in the last 5 games. 2 seasons ago, when they were top for 93% of the season, they didn't secure the title. Last season, when they had the title in their hands around, like, I think December, January, didn't win it. And this year, City fell off and they failed to really mount a serious challenge. So, I don't know. I think the public perception will have a major effect on Arsenal. And
can I ask you something, Pride, though?
If people view Arsenal as favorites, I don't see them winning. But if people write off Arsenal again, like that is for me.
Here's what I say. I think it's close still. I think Arsenal fans and the perception of them, like you mentioned, because they'll get past Real Madrid, will be able to beat PSG.
I know.
Yeah, I agree.
No, I think the PSG thing doesn't matter to me. I think they'll beat PSG regardless. Okay. But it's the final. Yeah, that is. Okay. And but the thing is, right? After looking at what Arsenal just did to Real Madrid And I know Real Madrid are trying to do this remontada thing. It's not happening tomorrow. Like
I don't know, man.
I think it's not happening. I don't care. But regardless, like you can't do what you've just done to Real Madrid, even though Real Madrid aren't good. But you can't perform like that against Real Madrid and then not have the belief or be gassed in terms of going to win the Champions League. So I understand Arsenal fans being gassed, but then you now have to go and perform, and I don't trust Arsenal to perform when they're expected to perform. So, bro, I don't know.
But Prime, can I ask you something? How come when you said before, if they play Inter, it's done, Inter are winning? Like, I'm not even like just saying you're wrong or anything, but how come you're like so confident in saying that Inter would definitely beat Arsenal in the final?
Because Inter are better in every aspect. Inter are better in every aspect. They have a manager like Inzaghi is probably top 3 managers in the world. Okay. They've got a better defense than Arsenal. They've got a better attack than Arsenal. They've got a better midfield, and Inter's players have experience and know-how on big stages.
They've got experience of the final recently,
Yeah, and Arsenal is like, I don't know. It's like nerves have to hit them at some point, and it won't hit them in the semi because PSG won't strike fear into them. But getting
the pressure would be insane. Yeah,
it's going. When
you reckon Arteta and that crusher and
when Chelsea played City, when Chelsea played City in 2021, this is like dominant Man City, and their players were shocked, bro. Their fans were shocked, and Pep, who had won it 2 years beforehand,
decided to play
something stupid by playing I think Arteta. This Champions League run from Arsenal looks too perfect. Something stupid has to happen at some point, and I think the final is where it will happen. Because
you know what I will say with
Inter Milan? It was supposed to happen again. No, but bro, it was supposed to happen against Real Madrid. It was supposed to happen against Real Madrid, and it didn't. PSG don't have that factor in them, so the final it has to be the final. And I think Inter is a lot more like clear of Arsenal than I think Barca are. I know that sounds crazy, but I think Arsenal can defend and see out Barca more than they can against Inter, because we saw with Inter when they played them earlier in the season. Inter rotated their side heavily because they had a title game at the weekend, and they still beat Arsenal comfortably. So that's why
what I will say is
before you go, Ryan, because I gotta get to this. Prime, your final and the winner.
Barca, Inter, and Inter win.
Nah, Barca, Inter, dude. Nah, they're on the same side.
No. Wait, what did I say? I said Barca, Inter. No.
Yeah, you said Barca, Inter. Yeah. Go
Sorry, I meant Arsenal, Inter, and Inter win.
Okay, Ryan, same to you. What's your final and the prediction?
Bro, I don't know. I can't pick. It's too close for
me.
All right,
we'll go back to you in a second. Fats, get out of the DMs. Fats.
He's muted, bro.
Get out of the DMs, man. We closing out in 2. Get out of the DMs, man. All right, stop telling the Lakers are winning the championship and Lakers in 5. Stop telling the Batman, Superman, Catwoman, Ant-Man, Cat. And you need to change that, man. You got to just Batman, Superman, Ant-Man, Lakers in 5.
Batman, Superman, Cat. Why are you?
Catwoman don't work. You got to take out Catwoman. That don't work, man.
What does that mean, by the way?
So what it is obviously NBA games are 7-game series. So it's like obviously first to 4. So you say the Lakers are playing the Celtics. If I think if Fat thinks the Lakers are going to win, they'll say, "Oh, the Lakers will win in 5." Or if I think the Celtics will win, I'll say Celtics in 6. So Shannon Sharp behind him, who's like famous athlete, and obviously we're talking about basketball on his podcast. He's just started running with this thing and like started rhyming words. So he's like, so Ant-Man is a player who plays for the Minnesota Timberwolves. That is nickname. He's called Anthony Edwards, but they call him Ant-Man. Yeah. So then people just started rhyming words, and it's like Batman, Superman, Aquaman, Ant-Man, Lakers in 5. And then ever since Shannon Sharp said it, that's just stuck. Like on Jez's team, OKC, there's a guy called Lou Dort. So people were like Supreme Court, Divorce Court, Tennis Court, Lakers in 5. And it's just kind of stuck. And now it's a thing.
I thought it had to rhyme with Lakers in 5. Okay.
No. I don't have to rhyme with Lakers in 5. It just has to be similar before the Lakers in 5. So like Batman, Superman, Aquaman, Lakers in 5. Or like Ludor, who plays, like I said, for Jez's team, it's Supreme Court, Tennis Court, Divorce Court, Lakers in 5. Like, that's what people are with. I'm like, yo, people are on some idiotic thing. So Shannon Sharp said it, and it just kind of stuck. That's what it is. But hey, Fats, over to you as well, man. Over to you, Fats. Is he even there? Fats, you there?
Yeah.
All right, this guy really turned off his camera to dive deeper into Scales DMs. Who's your final and winner?
I got a sneaky feeling that Real Madrid might do some crazy remontada. But other than that, it's PSG Barcelona.
No,
So
I
your
don't.
final
They're
is,
not doing anything.
so your final is wait. So your final is PSG Barcelona. Okay, who's your winner?
I'll go for Barcelona.
Okay, cool. Ryan, back to you.
Why? Sorry, what? Like, so people keep doing this, and it's annoying me because you're allowing because Arsenal win tomorrow, and then their narrative will be we beat the mighty Real Madrid and no one gave us a chance. I hate this. Stop giving Arsenal fans more ego by writing them off. It's annoying.
I'm not giving them more ego.
Yo, you man, I gotta move on anyway. Yo, Ryan. Close yours, man.
I'm going Barcelona final versus Arsenal, and I think Barcelona will just sneak it. I think they'll edge it. One thing I will say though, quickly though, I think
what was yours? What did you say?
I think
Say again.
Barcelona Arsenal final, and Barcelona will just nick it. But what I will say is that I think if Inter Milan got to the final and played Arsenal, the fact that Inter Milan, with a lot of the same team and the same manager just 2 years ago, plays City in a final and should have won. I stand by Inter Milan should have won that final. To this day, I still think Inter Milan should have won that game. That City team was a much better team than this Arsenal team. That City team is one of the best teams we've seen, to be honest. They won the treble at the end of the day. So that's why I think I can see where Brian's coming from. I do think Inter might just have the edge over Arsenal in a final. But I think Barcelona, now that I think about it, I actually think they'll knock Inter out, to be honest with you.
First.
So, yeah.
All right, people. And in regards to answer the question as well, I've got the same as Ryan and Jez. In regards to, I think it will be a Barcelona-Arsenal final, repeat of 06. And I think it's the same result as 06 as well. But as long as Barcelona, Inter Milan, PSG win it, I'm all for it. I'm hoping for a Real Madrid remontada. Do I think it happens? No. Do I think PSG knock out Arsenal? Also no. But we'll be there,
man,
people.
that day,
we'll
hopefully, man. Saka bottles a 1-on-1 like Henry did in the 06 final. And then
that should be that would be great.
Winner.
It is. But people,
Saka cannot bottle another final, bro. Saka cannot bottle another final. I'm sorry.
I need it. But run up the likes, people, whether you're watching this live right now or watching this back after. Run up the likes on the video. Make sure you share this out across all the socials as well. And also subscribe to the channel, Sarcasm City TV. Hit the notification bell as well. And to a seal, if you disagree, that's absolutely fine. No problem whatsoever. Relax. You've said it already. You don't need to write it again. Please, no spamming in the chat or I will block you. If you disagree, that is absolutely fine. And I run a fan calling show every Monday, 10:30 p.m. UK time. So feel free to call in and we can have the discussion. It's really not that deep. We're just talking football here, mate. So yes, again, people, please run up the likes. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. Road to 15,000 subscribers. Hit the notification bell. Also, let's see. Who else is? There's no one else live. What is going on there? Let me refresh this. You know what I'm saying? Let me refresh this. You know what I'm saying?
Can I ask you guys a question?
That's a seal. That's absolutely that's absolutely fine. A seal. That's absolutely fine. Literally, I'm going to close out. I just got to redirect. And we're getting over to the playback, people. The game hasn't started yet, but NBA play-ins is amongst us. The playoffs are starting this week. And you can see it there on the screen. Sarcasm City TV playback is where all of the NBA watch-alongs will be going down on Sarcasm City TV. I may do the occasional one here on YouTube, but Sarcasm City TV playback. So go to www.playback.tv/Sarcasm City TV. That's www.playback.tv/Sarcasm City TV, or just download the playback app from your app store. If you have an NBA League Pass, you can use that to sync up with us and watch the game. So it's the same stream, no spoilers. And also, if you want to watch the games and you don't have a League Pass, I'm giving out VIP passes for absolutely free, people. That is right, absolutely free, giving away VIP
big of you,
passes
man. I need to
watch the game. Bless up, Ryan. I'm giving away VIP passes to watch the game for absolutely free. So head over. We're heading over there right now, people. We're going live in literally 2 minutes for the 7-8 game with Orlando Magic taking on the Atlanta Hawks, people. That is the game going on. The Atlanta Hawks versus the Orlando Magic. So hopefully it's a good game. And then, of course, tonight, we got the Grizzlies versus the Warriors straight after that as well. That's going to be a good one. Ja versus Steph. Oh, we will be there. We're redirecting to Lee Gunner anyway. So put Sarcasm City TV raid in this chat. And this has been the Sarcasm City Sports Q&A live on the Sarcasm City TV YouTube. Thank you very much for tuning in.